You cleared your cookies, opened incognito mode, maybe even turned on a VPN, and it feels like you've covered your tracks. But websites don't just rely on cookies or IP addresses anymore. They build something called a digital fingerprint. Now, the technical term for this is browser metadata enumeration, which sounds less like online tracking and more like paperwork at a tax office. But the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. Every time your browser loads a website, it shares small bits of information so the page can work properly. Things like your screen resolution, browser version, operating system, installed fonts, language settings, time zone, battery status, connected media devices, and even the way your hardware renders graphics and audio. On their own, those details seem pretty harmless, but there are thousands of these tiny variables, and when they get combined together, they can create a profile that is surprisingly unique to you. In a lot of cases, unique enough to recognize this same browser again out of billions of users. A good way to think about it is this. Clearing cookies or using a VPN is like putting on a mask. It hides your face, but fingerprinting isn't focused on your face, it's looking at everything else. If you're the only person in a city wearing a purple velvet suit, bright yellow boots, and carrying a vintage umbrella, then I don't really need to see your face to recognize you. Your overall appearance is already unique enough to track, and that's basically how browser fingerprinting works. That said, some VPNs do include extra privacy features that can help reduce fingerprinting. Tools like NordVPN's threat protection or Surfshark's clean web can block many of the trackers, scripts, and third-party requests that websites use to collect fingerprinting data in the first place. In some cases, they can stop certain tracking domains or browser scripts from loading entirely, which means less information gets collected about your device during a browsing session. So while they won't automatically make your browser anonymous, they can reduce how much information gets exposed during normal browsing. And realistically, that's what modern privacy tools are really about now, reducing the amount of data companies are able to collect about you over time. If you want to try those features for yourself, I'll leave links to both services down in the description. You probably won't notice fingerprinting itself disappearing overnight, but you can often see fewer tracking requests loading in the background, fewer invasive ads, and less data being collected across sites over time. At this point, it helps to see what your browser actually exposes online. If you go to a site like AmIUnique and click See My Fingerprint, the site starts collecting these same kinds of browser signals that tracking companies and websites can access in the background. Within a few seconds, it builds a profile of your browser and compares it against millions of other fingerprints in its database. And the amount of information being collected is usually a bit surprising the first time you see it. Beyond the standard signals, it can even pull things like your operating system, time zone, device memory, connected microphones, cameras, and audio devices, graphics card information, battery status, network information, even tiny rendering differences created by your hardware and browser setup. Then the site combines all of those signals together and estimates how unique your browser looks compared to everyone else. And in a lot of cases, the results come back saying your browser is unique among millions of users. So when you put all of this together, the takeaway is pretty simple. Hiding your IP address is only one layer of your online privacy. Your browser and device setup can still expose a huge amount of information in the background through fingerprinting, and that's why a more complete privacy setup usually combines multiple layers, a reputable VPN, tracker blocking features, and a browser that takes fingerprinting seriously. Tools like threat protection, clean web, NordVPN, Brave Safari, and privacy extensions all approach the problem differently, but the goal here is the same: reducing how much information websites and advertisers can collect about you over time. I'll leave links to all the tools, browsers, and fingerprint testing websites that we talked about down in the description, including the VPNs that we tested with built-in tracker blocking features if you want to try them out for yourself. And now I'm curious, when you ran the fingerprint test, what was the most surprising thing that your browser revealed about your device? Let me know down in the comments. But as always, thank you so much for watching vpnMentor, and we'll see you in the next video.